Well, hey there, folks. Welcome to the Roundup. We are a Cowboy State Daily podcast, and our focus is on interesting people in the Cowboy State. Today's guest, oh my gosh, what a story. What a story she has to tell. And I'm so excited for her to be able to tell it to this audience. First, though, I want to make sure that you all know about another podcast that's put on by the Wyoming Business Alliance. It's called the Business from the Basement podcast. And if you're a Wyoming business person, if you're interested in being a business person, they've got so many resources. Check out the Business from the Basement podcast and be entertained, informed, and get some really great resources there. So check it out, but don't go yet, because first we have a great guest for the Roundup today. We're going to be talking today to Shannon Orr. Shannon has a really amazing story about the birth of her youngest child, about the struggles that they had, and the inspiration then to help others who have experienced the same things that they have, and more, as a matter of fact. So thank you so much for joining us today, Shannon Orr. Hello there.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Shannon. This we heard about ORS Hope, and that's what this is. This is the ORS Hope Foundation that Shannon and her family started, and it started because Shannon, you had some serious difficulties with your last pregnancy, your daughter Allison. Tell us about your family up to that point. Everybody was healthy, everybody was good, and then you had this unexpected turn in your lives. Tell us about what happened with your pregnancy with Allie.
Okay, yeah, that's so right. So, our boys were 8 and 10, and we ended up being pregnant with this sweet little girl. And at 32 weeks, she decided to come a little early in the world. And so, of course, they life flighted us to Denver, my husband and I, and Allie was born 2 weeks later down there at 34 weeks, and then she spent some additional time in the hospital. So yeah, it was a little bit of a whirlwind. We always tease her because she was supposed to be born on Mother's Day, and she decided to come on April Fools. So it was
Oh,
very appropriate.
very appropriate in this case. What
Yeah.
sort of experience did you have when you were in the hospital with Allie for so many weeks and watching her struggle? And I'm sure there was so much concern about she's on the edge here. Are we going to take our little girl home? Or tell us about how that felt.
Right. Actually, it was very alarming and scary until we got on the life flight. And the life flight nurse looked at me and said, "We see this all the time. You're going to be just fine." But of course, up to that point, we had never heard of anybody having to go be flown to Denver to deliver a child. Our boys were both 8.5 pounds and healthy, and so this was all new to us. But I'll never forget that life flight nurse for saying that to me, because it just that immediate sense of comfort was priceless. But then the
That's
additional
fantastic.
2 weeks in the or 3 weeks in the hospital, we had amazing care, and yeah, we never felt like it wasn't going to be okay. And actually, was born, she was 4 pounds 11 ounces and was in the NICU. We saw babies that were barely a pound, so we did feel very blessed at that time.
Now, when you went through this experience, you brought your girl home. She's healthy. She grew normally. She didn't have any real
Right.
issues from being born so prematurely. But your life changed. Your purpose changed after this experience. Tell us, you worked at Kelly Walsh High School before this, and tell us about your
Right.
life change after you had Allison.
Boy, that's so true. Like I said, we had amazing care. Allie was born at Swedish Medical Center in Denver, and the most incredible nurses. And all I could think about that whole time that I was there was those nurses have the best job in the whole world. And so when we got Allie home and got settled into our new life, I went back to school and actually got my nursing degree and worked in pediatrics for several years.
That is fantastic. So,
Yeah,
and when you were working at Kelly Walsh, you worked with special needs kids, right?
I did. Yeah. So kids that have just needed a little extra help have always been near and dear to my heart.
But you brought Allie home. She grew normally. She's a smart girl. In fact, and we'll come back to this later, but her life was forever impacted and has come full circle. But we'll talk about that in a
Okay.
little while. What are some of the things then that led you so many years later? Because Allie's 27 now, right?
Right. She is. Yeah.
So you've had all
So,
this time, but something changed a few years ago. You thought that this experience stayed with you. Tell us about how the ORS Hope Foundation came to be.
my husband's worked really hard all his life, and we've been extremely blessed. So there was a turning point in our lives when he just looked at me and said, "We need to just give back." And immediately I knew what that purpose needed to be because there's a huge gap in Wyoming. I mean, it's a beautiful state with lots of great resources, but the one resource we don't have is pediatric health care for premature babies and critically ill children. All of those kiddos are sent out of state. And of course, knowing the hardship we went through, we appreciate what those families are going through too. So we started a foundation in 2018. Originally, we started just to help families with premature babies in Natrona County. And over the years, we've expanded. Now we help families with premature babies and critically ill children at the age 18 and under in the whole state of Wyoming.
That is absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about the ORS Hope Foundation and talk about, like, because if you go, folks, if you go to their Facebook page, you are going to see the faces and the stories of just some amazing, amazing little children that are facing incredible odds. But ORS Hope Foundation is able to help their families and tell us what resources ORS Hope Foundation provides to the families of these children.
Yes, so we provide gas carts so people can get to their children. A lot of times when kids are life flighted, only one parent can go with the child. So then we need to get the additional parent down there so families can be together. And then once they're there, we help with hotel rooms. We work closely with the Ronald McDonald houses so they can have a sense of community and live in those houses while they're there. And also we help with food because, we when when you are uprooted and are not working, there's those are the main basic things that you need so you can be with your child.
Now, what kind of diseases or disorders are the kind of covered under what you do? Because is it just children that have birth defects? Is it children who've been diagnosed with cancer? Is it short-term illnesses? Is it long-term illnesses? Tell us about that.
Okay. We the only requirements that we have is that the child's 18 or under and a Wyoming resident. The only diagnosis we don't help is cancer because Jason's Friends does an incredible job with that. And so we work closely with Jason's Friends. When they get referrals that those kids don't qualify for their resources, they refer them over to us and vice versa.
That's great. We'll have to talk about
Yeah.
Jason's Friends. So you're not the only foundation in Wyoming or even in Natrona County then that's working
Right,
with this.
right.
Tell us about the partnerships that you have.
Oh, yeah, we have wonderful partnerships. Again, with Jason's Friends, Ronald McDonald House is huge for those families. And then we also like to work with a child development center here in Casper because it's important for us when kids come home that they have those resources to be successful. Like I said, sense of community is huge. So families realize they're not the only ones going through something like this.
Absolutely. Yeah, no kidding. So talk about how many families you're currently helping because the Orrs Hope Foundation, you've been, up and running since you said 2018. So
Correct.
that's a lot of families in need. Tell us
It
about how
is.
many you're currently walking alongside.
Okay. Right now we have 85 families. It's been fluctuating between 85 and 100 the last few weeks. Yeah, we have a lot of sick families out or kiddos out there, and these families going through really hard times right now.
My goodness. And so what's the range of financial assistance that you provide? How much can you give to these families?
Like we going back to your question, short term, long term, we help, we walk alongside them the whole time until they are able to be back home. We've had children that were born and didn't leave the hospital. We have one little girl that's 4 years old and still has not left the hospital. We had another family, their little girl was in the hospital for over 2 years. So it just depends. We even help families that just have to go down for an appointment for a day and back. So we try not to say no to anybody and just want to be there to walk alongside them during this difficult time.
That's absolutely fantastic. I want to go to the structure of the ORS Hope Foundation. You've got a board and
We do.
you've got employees. You've got, I mean, this is an actual big old foundation. Tell us about your board members and how people become associated with ORS Hope Foundation.
Well, actually, we're just a family board. It consists of myself, my daughter, Allie, and then my two daughter-in-laws, Allie and Acacia. So we have two Allies, and then we have one wonderful employee, our director, Cherish Novotny, who manages all the day-to-day stuff. She's really incredible.
That's wonderful. One of the things that you do in order to provide the assistance is you have donations, obviously, but you do fun things to raise money for ORS Hope Foundation. You do a golf tournament every year, and you do something that's coming up this next week, which is the Concert for Hope, fifth annual Concert for Hope. You got a great headliner. Tell us about the Concert for Hope coming up this week.
You, you bet. We have Chancey Williams once again. Like you said, this is our fifth year. He's a huge supporter and we appreciate him so much. But yes, next Thursday, the 29th, the activities start at 5 p.m. down at David Street Station. We have a great headliner that will go on at 6:15 and then Chancey goes on at 7:30.
Is that is just great. I We talked before we got on, folks, about how actually we got put together here, and it's because of our Cowboy State Daily advertising administrative assistant, Abby Roach, who knows everybody,
Yes, she
including
does.
Chansey. And so she, through her associated with Chansey, got a hold of Shannon and said, "Shannon, we should do a podcast here." But tell us about these sorts of opportunities for people to come and have fun and raise money for a good cause. What are some other um, fundraisers that you've had? Tell us about those.
Well, our Golf for Hope is actually our biggest fundraiser. We have amazing support with lots of we call them partners in hope, these great businesses and people that support us. And so the golf tournament is actually the same day of the concert. We do that earlier in the day. And then we have all of our partners in hope at the concert. We invite all of our family members. And then, of course, it's just free to the public as well to come and enjoy.
Free to the public. That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then of course you can collect donations there from people who feel, so moved and continue the work that you're doing. One of the things that's so cool though is that 100% of the donations go directly to the families. There's no that none of those donations go to overhead or anything like that.
No, that's something we're very proud of. Of course, we have very low overhead. And we have a private donor that supports all those funds for any overhead that we may have so that we can give 100% of the donations back to our families.
That is absolutely fantastic. I
Yeah.
want to get a little deeper here, Shannon. Tell me some of the stories of some of the children that you have been able to help over the years. We'll come back to Allie here in a little while, but
Okay.
talk about some of the ones that have really moved you. And it could be one of the current ones, it could be some from years past. But tell me about those.
Oh gosh, there's so many great stories. We are putting a video together to put on our website soon about a family that had a set of twins and lost one of their twins. In this family, it's the Yeager family, Justin and Kylie Yeager. But they also have turned this into something good and they give back every year. And so look forward to that on our website for sure. Um, we've had burn victims, we've had car accidents. Of course, we've had kids that have fought so many big battles and just are thriving right now, which always makes our hearts so incredibly happy. Gosh, just to think of any particular situation is really hard because, like I said, we have so many great people in our, we call them the ORS Hope family. Yeah.
I was looking at your Facebook page, and there is a little man on there, Raiden Hayes.
Oh, Raiden,
That,
yes.
yes, what an amazing story. Tell us about Raiden. What can you tell us about Raiden and his story?
Yeah, Raiden was born with a lot of complications. They lived in Cheyenne at the time. And talk about a warrior mama. His mom is really incredible. He has had several surgeries and told several times that he wasn't going to make it through. And he just can, he's such a fighter. He has beat all the odds. And his mom actually moved to Colorado so they could be closer to resources. So, they had to make some life changes too, but she did what was best for her child. And he is just, yeah, the most incredible story. I'm glad you got to see a little bit of Raiden because that's definitely one of our favorite stories.
Oh my gosh, I look at him and he's just got so much life. I mean, the picture
So
that's on
much
the
life.
Facebook page is he's just reaching up, but you can tell
Yeah,
that he has so many issues and so many medical issues, and your heart just breaks when there's
yeah,
somebody with that much spirit who's held back by these physical limitations.
I know.
What You've got some great success stories though. One of the other things on your Facebook page, I just saw one of your kids graduated. One of the kids
Oh, yes,
that you helped, that ORS Hope
yes.
Foundation helped, is graduating. Tell us about that story. These are so many things and so many people that just have these great success stories that we can all celebrate. Tell us
I
about those
know.
kids.
Again, just another one defying the odds. He was in the hospital for a very long time and got out just in time to graduate high school. So these are the kids that are just going to go on and just do great things. Um, yeah, we have, and it seems like we have a few family members that have several kiddos that are fighting big battles too. So those are always the ones that are near and dear to our hearts. Um, and it just amazes me every single day how these parents are so resilient and stay positive and just come out of it just even more beautiful than they could have imagined.
But of course, there are those kids that don't make it.
Yes, there is.
There's Sammy that is not here anymore, but you helped
No.
his family. Tell us that story.
Oh, talk about another great family, Sammy's family. Yeah, that was a tough one. He fought a long battle and he was loved so incredibly, just the love that his family had for him and um, his little brother. Just yeah, just I know it's been really difficult for them, but they are an incredible family as well.
And so, Or's Hope, how do you identify the kids and the families that you help? Do they apply to you? How does that work? If somebody's got a critically ill child or coming up, how do they reach out to you for assistance?
It's so wonderful and so beautiful because when a family is in need, it seems like the community just reaches out for them. But also we are in contact with the hospitals, so we get the referrals directly from the hospitals most of the time.
And it's not just Natrona County kids. It's kids throughout Wyoming. Is that correct?
Correct. That's correct. Yep, we've helped kids in every county in Wyoming, and we have currently have kids in Billings and Salt Lake, lots in Denver. So it just,
So it's become
yeah,
a
we
regional. It's become a
it
regional
oh
foundation more so even
it,
than a Wyoming.
well, we just help kids from Wyoming, but those
Oh,
kiddos are sent to those states for treatments. Yeah,
got it. Okay. All right.
yeah,
So you've got to be a Wyoming resident. That's really the only
correct.
qualification, right?
Yep, that and the child has to be under the age of 18. But that's it. That's all we ask. We don't have any paperwork for the families to fill out because when they're going through something like this. They don't need any additional stress or anything. So we make it as simple for them as we can.
That's so wonderful. So let's bring this full circle now. Let's talk about Allie. So Allie started out life with all the odds stacked against her. And yet you left the hospital, she's healthy, she grew up normally. What is Allie doing now?
Well, Allie went to the University of Wyoming and got her nursing degree, and she just knew she wanted to be back in Denver. So she went to Denver and applied for nursing jobs and actually got a job at Swedish Medical Center where she was born. Yeah, I know. That's my favorite part of the story. And it was just by
Oh,
chance. She didn't, yeah. So she's not in the NICU. She started out in the burn unit and now she's a cardiac ICU nurse.
that is absolutely phenomenal. And I
Yeah,
just talk about coming full circle and truly giving back. She's her life's work now is doing the work that brought her into the world.
that's right. Yeah. So, just it's a good reminder of, bad things can sometimes turn into great things. You just got to trust.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
you have to trust. And your whole family has then walked that trust line the whole time. Your boys work, your two older boys work with your husband now.
they do.
And
Yeah.
tell us about what they're doing.
So my husband and my two sons, Matt and Justin, are here in Casper working in the renewables. They're in the wind farms, the solar farms, trucking, cranes. And so it's really nice to have them here. And of course, my two daughter-in-laws are on the board, Acacia and Allie. And then our six grandchildren are very involved. We call them the junior executives.
So Shannon, talk us through your day. What's your responsibilities with the foundation and what sort of work do you do?
Well, right now, the last month, we've been busy preparing for the golf tournament and the Concert for Hope. So that's been a lot. This is our favorite time of the year. But day to day, I do the financials. Of course, any donations that come in, I handle those and do all the banking stuff. But like I said, we have an incredible employee, Cherish Novotny. She's our director, and she does the day to day stuff. And we couldn't do it without her.
That's fantastic. Shannon, this has been just a really fun conversation to learn about this resource that's available to families throughout Wyoming. And I've got a story of my own that I could share about
Oh,
a illness that my son had that was life-threatening and it was just scary. And I wish that that ORS Hope Foundation had been available to me when that happened, and
yeah.
it was a few years before your foundation even started. But to know that there are these resources for families is just absolutely a gift. And thank you for bringing this gift to the people of Wyoming and to the families and to the children.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you letting us tell a little bit of our story too.
It is. It's fantastic. You've got so many community partners. You've talked about a few of them, and of course, we want to make sure people know about the fifth annual Concert for Hope with Chancey Williams coming up on the 29th, and then also, of course, the golf tournament. Can people still sign up for the golf tournament?
The golf tournament is full. Yeah, but
Okay.
next year. Yes.
Yeah, sign up early,
Okay.
and then of course we'll put your contact information in the podcast notes here so people can get a hold of you if they want to donate, if they want to be considered for if they need to be considered for assistance, or if they want to sign up to join in some of the really fun things that you have going on that celebrate life while raising money to give life, which is truly
Absolutely.
what you're
Yes.
doing. Yeah.
Yes. Please check out our website, orshope.com. Like I said, our video will be up next week. It's so heartwarming. There's lots of information on there. There's stories about our kiddos and our monthly newsletters as well.
Fantastic. Shannon, thank you so much. It's so amazing and blessed that your daughter is doing this work that she's doing now in the hospital that she was born at all those years ago, and the work that's being done around the region to help these kids. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for your time. And yeah, we do have a little treat at the end of the Williams concert on Thursday night, so I hope everybody can be there.
Okay, very good. So find out
Okay.
more about the Chancey Williams concert on their website. Folks, thank you for tuning in today. We are so blessed here at the Roundup at Cowboy State Daily to be able to highlight some of these people that make Wyoming the amazing state that it is and that brings us all together. So thanks for tuning in and hearing these stories. Thank you, Shannon. Folks, have a wonderful week. Tune in again next week.